Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience with the technology snafus. What an amazing opportunity to self-source while being triggered. Looks like the universe showed up for the perfect opportunity. So, woohoo! Yeah, thank you, universe. So let's take a moment and I just invite you to, first of all, get a paper and pens. You might want to take some notes. And if you are new to Zoom, again, it's best to go up to your right-hand side where it says gallery view, because that way you can kind of see all the boxes of people and we can kind of interact and feel connected to each other, as well as utilize the chat box. And also if people could mute I just muted you, Linda, but I'll try to keep control of that. But if you can just, if you're not speaking, to keep yourself on mute, the mute button is the bottom left-hand corner. Also, the chat box is down here in the toolbar. This is a great way to chat with each other, and I might have certain questions that I ask you, and I love when people interact and write some of their thoughts and feelings in the chat box. And I guess if you have a moment here, just kind of type in, like, what do you want to get out of the class today? Like, what brought you here? I invite you just to take a moment, and if you'd like to just put that in the chat box, that's a way to kind of start the dialogue and start this community connection. And we're just gonna, in about a minute or so, we're gonna drop in and really collect our energy and build our container for this evening. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight on this Monday evening. Hi, Doug. Hi, Laura. Hi, Lusana. All right. So let's just take a couple minutes and ground in and allow ourselves to come into present time and connection. Invite you to sit back in your chair and close your eyes for the next couple minutes. And allow yourself to get yourself into a seated position in which you can feel the support below you. Allow yourself to drop into your breath. And on each inhale, bringing your attention into your body and into your heart. So I like to breathe through my belly and my heart. And on the exhale, I invite you to release and let go of any thoughts, energies, worries, concerns, attachments, agendas, anything that's of the mind or any constriction of tension in the body. I just invite you to release on your exhale. I love bringing sound, conscious sound, to release. And again, inhaling through our belly, in through our heart. Feeling your connection to beloved Mother Earth. Allowing yourself to come into presence of this connection to all that is, Source. And the topic today is learning to self-source when triggered. So when that topic comes to mind, how are you doing with that? How are you at really loving yourself, honoring yourself in the moment as your triggers arise? Maybe thinking about certain people or certain behaviors that really challenge you. And again, we want to do our best to let go of judging ourselves, let go of the world of right and wrong, good and bad. And welcoming, again, the experience of what is. Sometimes we have comfortable experiences, sometimes uncomfortable. And how do we take care of ourselves through the challenges, through the things that happen in our life, the inevitable triggers? Taking a moment and just checking into, what do I deeply want to get out of this class? What am I desiring? What are some of my intentions for tonight? And again, I really want to do our best to, as we go through our triggers, to be gentle on ourselves, to be kind, to be loving with ourselves. So let's make a commitment that as we look at ourselves, that we do that with care and love and kindness, and also an inner smile, or I'd like to bring a little bit of humor or lightness to our how perfectly humanness. So what's a commitment that you're willing to make to yourself as we go deeper into this work, or as we explore your triggers? And taking a couple more conscious breaths, feeling the connection to your body, and coming back into the room, connecting to each other. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Doug. Welcome, Laura. Welcome, Caraway. It's really good to see people popping on here. I was feeling a little scared. So welcome, everyone. Wow, great. Self-sourcing. So I'm going to go into a little bit about talking about self-sourcing in general, but I'd love to open it up maybe to Laura, David, Doug, to, if you guys are willing to talk about maybe some of the impact that you've noticed in your life where you didn't self-source, and how much maybe self-sourcing has actually supported you within your triggers. So would either of you be willing to unmute and share? Doug. Hang on, let me unmute you. Okay, you're on.
I'm good. Yeah, thanks, Emily. There's been a really interesting journey for Rebecca and I. Oh, by the way, Rebecca's sending love to everybody. She has to work tonight, and this is like a killer class that she would like to be on, but she's got to be on in the evening, so I'm here for the team. That Rebecca and I have got to learn, which was, I really think this is a valuable class, because being able to learn how to self-source and find whatever tricks I'm going to have to do that with when I'm triggered is one of the ways I get to show to myself and my partner that I care about my partner, I care about the relationship, or I care about my family member, like even with my mother, or, you know, someone else who I have a volatile something with. It's one of the ways I get to testify that I really want this to be good, and I really care about the other person enough to do something about what happens to me and take care of myself before I react or speak in upset. And not reacting in upset may be just a beginning. And I was practicing that with Rebecca, but when Rebecca started to get these concepts from you and Scott, she started to get it, why it was so powerful. She was like, oh, you know, I'm really triggered when somebody raises their voice. So when Doug gets quiet instead of raising his voice, it makes a huge difference in everything that's going to happen. So that's why I wanted to second what Luzana said, is because if I can learn how to take care of myself in that moment of restraining from reacting and upset, then I have time to find the empathy and the curiosity that I need to get us out of that place. So I'm looking forward to whatever everybody has to bring on the team for it.
Beautiful. I really want to anchor in that self-sourcing it's actually the most important ninja move to learn to be able to show up in quality care and presence for other people. And so a lot of people get scared in self-sourcing that somehow it's just going to be about me, or, we have a lot of programming how maybe doing it might separate us from connection, or we're abandoning our partner, or it's not loving or considerate. And in our work, learning to make ourselves the number one priority and actually really authentically taking good care of ourselves allows us to be able to authentically show up way more full and able to, again, then step into other people's world. So the ninja move is, can I fill myself up in the moment enough when I'm triggered so that I can suspend my feelings and needs to be able to authentically show up for the other person? And sometimes we can't, right? That's where we have more self-sourcing work to do, and we need to take space. But the more that we develop that practice, we can self-source pretty quick and come and be the heart ninja for the other person and help them to feel fully cared and understood and validated and valued. A little bit about how I came to self-sourcing is actually through my wound. I grew up, many of you guys know, I'm a recovering avoidant. And you know how, I don't know, there's an attachment styles. There's anxious attachment and avoidant attachment. I'm an avoidant. I grew up not knowing that there was anybody there. I very much, my mom, full of, household of drugs. My dad left at 5. So I grew up basically that I was kind of alone, and through my wound, I learned how to take care of myself. So I spent a lot of time in my room playing with myself, taking care of myself with my animals, doing not so good things, stuffing myself with candy. And so I learned how to be pretty good on my own. But I also became extremely avoidant when it came to intimacy. So I wasn't able to, I didn't know how to really take good care of myself when it came to actually being in connection with others. There was this whole terror of intimacy. And so then I would judge people and make them wrong and tell them to go self-source and tell them to go what I think that they needed to do. And so there was this, I knew how to be good on my own, but I didn't have the tools to be able to be a ninja in partnership. And so on one level, the wound of being by myself and avoidant, I learned how to take care of myself, but I didn't know how to do that well when it came into connection with other people. So that's kind of been so much of the tools and the practices of how I've really learned to take that work of taking care of myself while also being in intimacy with others. So with that said, I'm going to start a screen share with a little PowerPoint presentation. So let's go back here. Okay, so can you guys all see that? What is self-sourcing? Give me a thumbs up. Doug, can you give me a thumbs up? Can you see that? Awesome. So this is kind of what is self-sourcing in general. And then we're going to talk more about self-sourcing when it comes to triggered, because self-sourcing is a big topic. But self-sourcing is basically being able to authentically take care of ourselves and source our own needs from within. So that's so different than our programming, right? Because our programming has taught us that we need to look outside of ourselves to get our needs met, for safety, for love, for approval, for happiness. And so again, that's where we are learning to actually shift that paradigm. And you could say that it's basing our happiness on an external circumstance or something outside of ourselves for us to feel worthy or okay or safe. And that is kind of coming out of what I would call the kind of codependent paradigm. So for example, these are sort of fantasy-based desires that build attachment. So when I have the home, when I have the perfect partner, then I'll be happy or fulfilled. When he or she understands me, then I'll give them empathy. When he or she apologizes, then I'll be happy or I'll be safe. When he or she does blank, then I'll actually give love. So there's all these kind of basing our fulfillment or happiness or our ability to give love or show up on external circumstances. And that basically breeds suffering. So that's where we're actually stepping out of that paradigm. And it takes a lot of consciousness to reprogram that. So again, looking to have our needs met by other people is not bad or wrong. So I want to make it like, a lot of people think self-sourcing means like, I have to take care of everything on my own. No. What it does mean is that I can learn to take good care of my needs. And part of that is actually asking for my needs to be met. But it's not expecting people to meet my needs or relying on them or depending on them. That's where we build codependence, disappointment, enmeshment, unhealthy sense of boundaries, and all of these things that perpetuate unhealthy relationships. So what we want to do is to be able to learn how to authentically get our needs met for love, safety, and spiritual connection. Those are 3 primary values that we really do need to learn how to source within to find that level of fulfillment: love, safety, and spiritual connection. And so often when we don't source those, we look to, again, for that in another, in another person. Like, so for example, if we have a father wound, that we felt we had an abandonment from the father wound, we learn to not trust, and so what happens is we, again, bring in unavailable men as that anchor into the spiritual father or that all-pervading father, and then we get hurt again because we're looking for that sense of maybe love or spiritual connection in a human rather than learning how to source that to our higher power. So that would be an example of self-sourcing. So that's just self-sourcing kind of on a broader perspective of like in general, what is self-sourcing? So let me go to the next. I like this little caricature. It says, these 2 little guys, it says, where did you find that? I've been searching for it everywhere. And this little guy has a little bowl of happiness. And he goes, I created it myself. And so again, true happiness is an inside job, right? It's something that we authentically create inside of ourselves. And I love this quote that Scott always says, and it says, oh wow, there's a big typo there I need to fix. When we honor ourselves fully, we honor the entire universe. And that's so different from our kind of Judeo-Christian Catholic upbringing. Because in that upbringing, it's like a martyr paradigm. Like, wow, Jesus suffered on the cross for my sins. I've got to give my power away, or I've got to make up for it to actually, be a good person or repent for the sins that I created. And so what we do is we kind of like give over our power. We give. We sacrifice ourselves to be nice or to be spiritual or to be loved. And we all know that that doesn't work. That breeds resentment, that breeds disappointment. And so what we're learning to reprogram is that as I fully honor myself, like love myself, take good care of myself, then I actually authentically can show up and I am honoring the entire universe. So I'm just going to stop the share for a little bit and just come back. And I'd love to just get some interaction. Would anybody like to share so far? Like, how do they relate to self-sourcing? Or, Laura. Go ahead, Laura. You're unmuted.
Thanks, Emily. And I just want to give so much gratitude to you because this is really the real key to being able to apply these principles of basically nonviolent communication. And Love Coach Academy is being able to have sort of like a meditative practice within yourself. And that's the key thing that I wanted to share with everyone is what I've known in the last year and a half is it's really practice. And it's just like a little kid learning to walk. You're going to fall down a million times and go, oh, I did it again. I did it again. And, but what I know is you still have the intention of really learning how come to your own relationship with yourself more fully, which will only benefit your partnership more fully. Just having that intention and being able to pick yourself up each time and going, okay, I did it again. You know, I mean, we just get triggered. So, and it's so hard when we're in fear, right? Like the fear just takes over a primitive brain. And then it's about how do we, go, okay, this is just a practice. I get to do it again. And that's where I think Love Coach Academy is also so important, because it encourages practice. It encourages that, we're all okay if we don't get it perfect. And that's what I've been finding, because I still don't do it right all the time. I get in primitive brain, and I forget to ask permission, and I forget to love my inner child and all that stuff. And it's just like, but thank God I have a place to come home to where I can go, okay, I get to start over. I can begin again.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. It's really kind of letting go of this idea of getting to a place of being perfect or doing it right. I think it's such a wounding that we carry in all of us, this shame-based, I'm not good enough, it's not perfect, I'm not doing it right. And recognizing, we are spiritual beings. We have these amazing hearts, and we want to show up loving. We want to show up great. We want to show up as our best selves. And we get triggered. We have animal, carnal parts of ourselves. We have vulnerable parts, scared parts, hurt parts that act out. And like you said, Laura, this is a practice. And how can we love ourselves through the primitive parts? How can we love ourselves when we do mess up? I mean, I just the other day had a huge mess up where I created an agreement, and I botched the agreement with Scott on our date night, creating a huge amount of hurt, huge amount of pain. And we worked through it super quick. And in 10 minutes, we were back loving each other and in our arms and in the most exquisite embrace, closer than ever. So, but that's also because we're so committed to using the tools. So the more that we learn the tools and we practice the tools and we come back over and over and over again and keep bringing ourselves to the table with compassion and dedication, then, we become better at this stuff. So I love that. Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to go back to a screen share, and we'll kind of keep going with this. So 4 steps to self-sourcing when triggered. So again, when we're triggered, we get into those sort of reactive, defensive, going into fight, flight, or freeze. So examples of fight are like defending ourselves, dominating, explaining ourselves, making the other person wrong, blaming them, shaming them. Those are examples of the fight response. Flight response will be diminishing ourselves, kind of going into hiding, kind of going into a more sort of imploding, it's my fault, shame response, or checking out. Just avoiding it, shutting down, not coming back to the conversation, doing all sort of our avoidance strategies is a flight response. And then there's freeze, which is just this paralysis of overwhelm. I don't know how to handle this. I'm usually in some kind of perpetual state of confusion. This is too much. The freeze response is typically shame, confusion, and overwhelm. Those are the main emotional responses. So the first step is, how do I become self-aware and self-responsible? How do I have self-awareness and self-responsibility of recognizing when I'm triggered, right? What's the first sign of agitation? What's the story I'm telling myself? What's the uncomfortable feeling in my body? So some people are more mind-based, right? They're starting to run stories of what an asshole, I can't believe she did that. Why isn't he listening to me? He doesn't care. When you're in those stories, you're triggered. So the first step is just to understand, okay, am I a mind-based person or am I a body-based person? For me, I start to feel a lot of pain in my body. I start to feel kind of I can't focus on my work. I start to feel overwhelmed. That's a big trigger for me. Is recognizing too, what are your triggers, right? So when I hang around people that really want to be right, and they really want to dom and make their point matter, and they kind of are what I can appear they don't want to be in that mutual sense of curiosity. There's more of kind of a dogmatic, this is my way and this is the right way. That's really hard for me. That I get really triggered, and either I shut down or I go into a place of wanting to, again, defend myself or explain myself. So step one is owning it and recognizing no trigger is insignificant. Every trigger matters. And so it's like, how can I make my triggers matter? Like, instead of looking at triggers as bad, how can I actually go, whoa, I'm triggered, and own it? And really like feel good about owning it. So taking the bad, stupid, wrong out of the trigger and just being able to say that. Like, and I remember Laura saying, like, it was so huge when you guys could even just own that you were triggered in front of each other. Wow, I'm triggered right now. Oof, wow, I'm really feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling scared right now. Like, so step one is self-awareness and self-responsibility. Step two, self-sourcing when triggered. Slow way down, and drop inside, you know, like, I think there's a lot of shame that people carry when they're triggered, and they can go, whoa, hang on, I need a minute. I need a minute to slow down. I'm triggered right now. You know, I need to actually close my eyes and get centered. I mean, how many people do you know say that? Probably not a lot of people. But in Love Coach Academy, we do. It's like when we're triggered, we own it, and we actually slow down and we make it matter. We're like, whoa, hang on, I'm triggered right now. I've got to like self-reflect. I got to slow down. Can you hold on a minute? I've got to like drop inside. And so like, how can you make dropping inside a priority, right? And recognizing by doing that, you're actually authentically helping yourself to be able to see if you can be centered enough to be in a dynamic dialogue or in a connected space with this other person. Step three is self-reflect and be in self-ownership. So this is the litmus test. So we're looking at when we get triggered with other people, okay? So in the moment, after I drop in, I've got to ask myself, inside myself, can the other's feelings and needs supersede my own right now? Can I quickly self-source in the moment and come into connection, right? Can I take good care of myself, my own feelings and needs in the moment, and come into connection? Am I sourced enough to put my agenda, feelings, and needs aside and step into their world? That's the ninja move. Like, can I quickly self-source enough and actually put that on the back burner that I can actually step into your world to understand you, hear you, and help you to feel fully valued, and actually suspend what I need. And that's really the ninja move. And sometimes you can't do that. Sometimes, again, it's like I'm too triggered and I can't get into a space of honoring my feelings and needs quick enough and sourcing myself enough to actually step into your world. And so I need to set a boundary. And so that's when you have to authentically, again, set a boundary to take space to get sourced. So there's nothing wrong or bad about that. So I just really want to like you to anchor in. If you can't get sourced in the moment, there's nothing bad or wrong that the fact that you need to set a boundary to take space and get sourced. It's actually the loving thing to do for the other person. So I really want to anchor that in, like you honoring that need because you can't be sourced enough in the moment or you need more time is actually an act of love for the other person and yourself. Like really want you to get that, like drop that in hardcore into your being. There's nothing bad or wrong with you if you can't source yourself in the moment and you need to take space. Now the key is the person that okay, go ahead, Laura. Go ahead, you can turn on. I'll come back to. Stop sharing.
I just want to say that I think that's really important in that moment is that the person who is taking the space to give the other one reassurance, because, you know, abandonment in relationships is like the deepest trigger. So if, as long as the other person is reassured, right, that that's what they're doing, that's what we found. I think it makes it a lot easier on both sides.
That's awesome. I was just about to get to that. So
okay,
you're jumping the gun. So
that's my trigger.
Exactly. And that's the piece that I really wanted to say is that the person that actually takes space and creates a boundary, that they actually make an agreement that they're the person that's going to be proactive about connecting back to the other to have a connected conversation and to go into repair, or to have, and to be able to authentically talk. So that is actually what I would actually talk about in your relationships that matter, is that the person that needs to take space, it's actually their responsibility to be proactive, to reconnect, and that they're going to be in that dynamic interplay of connecting back with the other person and letting them know where they're at. So you might say like, whoa, I need to take space. And the other person's like, well, when are you going to come back? And so then, again, the person that sets the boundary saying, look, I want to make your feelings and needs matter. And I'm going to be proactive about letting you know when I can get sourced, and actually let you know when I can be full enough to come back, because this conversation matters to me. So they're making a commitment to be proactive in actually being able to be connected around how much time they need. And so that's actually the way to be in a sense of a place of reassurance to the other person. And then the other person, if they're still feeling really triggered or they're in their abandonment wound, then they got to go self-source too. Right? That's not an effective way to usually be in connection with the other. If you're actually so in your abandonment, like I need you to do, that the other person's not actually going to be in a place of really being able to be in a dynamic connection necessarily. So they need to get sourced. So the act of spaciousness creates a level of an opportunity for you guys to both go get sourced, which is going to help you to be more full to come back. Lee.
I really appreciate what you're saying about negotiating and making that work. And the thing that I found has been even more key is to ask permission first. And rather than saying, I need to self-source, it's like, wow, I'm having a challenge right now. And would it be okay with you if I were to drop in? And you may not be okay with that. So that ninja move to be able to actually request permission before I take the space, I found is key to get the yes, that it's okay for me to do that, because people outside our community have no idea what I'm doing. And when I tried that in another group of people, the labels and the reflections that I got was, you seem like a little boy, you seem self-centered. And if I had asked permission and explained what I wanted to do and make sure it was okay with the group, it would have been a whole different thing than if I just assumed that these are my people and they know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I love that. Asking permission to be able to drop in. I'm hearing drop inside yourself and see if you can actually source yourself in the moment to be able to come back into connection. That's awesome.
If you're out there with a whole bunch of contractor guys and they're beer drinking, belly, whatever, and you say, I'm just going to close my eyes, you might end up, you don't know what's going to happen next,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I hear that, and I have built up enough, like wherever I go, I do that. Like I can be anywhere and say, look, I need to close my eyes and get centered. So I think it's also learning to actually give ourselves that sense of like power that we could do that. And I hear also like letting and asking permission too is like an act of like being in the dynamic interplay of connection. So thank you so much.
Well, just again, the thing to emphasize is the one experience where I realized that I could have done it differently was when the reflections that I got from the group afterwards was that I was self-centered. And so the fact that I closed my eyes, it was really uncomfortable for some people. Even though they sort of let me have it, they weren't ready to have somebody take over the room.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess it's in a way too, it's, can I be okay with allowing people to judge me and also be in their own discomfort while also honoring my needs? So
yeah, or can I self-ninja and realize that I'm not going to get it in this space and I'm going to have to just go inside with my eyes open and realize these people aren't ready for this stuff, and I got to go even a higher level of ninja where I'm just going to be with myself and realize I'm not going to get my needs met in this place. So I'm not dropping in. I'm going to go elsewhere to get my needs met afterwards.
Yeah, that's true. It's like that's the discernment piece is definitely key as well. And can I source myself enough to be able to step into their world? Or do I actually, if I can't, what kind of boundary do I need to make?
Well, and the last piece is if I look at what is my need in the moment, my greatest need in that moment is for rapport.
Mm-hmm.
And if I want to maintain rapport with these people, my needs that I'm in pain are secondary to my need for rapport with the group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautiful.
I'm prioritizing my needs. Which one do I really want to meet?
Yeah, that's really beautiful to be able to, and sometimes we can actually want that and not have enough esteem inside to actually authentically be able to give that. So that's also another piece, is to be like, where authentically am I? So beautiful. I love that. Making connection your top priority. Beautiful. Lusana, did you have something you wanted to share? Go for it.
Thank you. I had a question on the handout, and I'm sorry, I don't remember which one. You had it at the one of the first sentences. I don't know if it was in step 2. No, it was step 3 probably. Anyway, if you could put that up, you wrote out that the others' needs supersedes your own. And as a recovering codependent, that is a trigger for me.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so I'd like
you like some clarification on that?
Some clarification, yes, yeah. Because that right there is like, yeah, I've done that most of my life and it didn't get me very far. Okay.
Yeah. It's in the moment. Can I be able to source my needs enough myself that I can actually suspend my needs to be heard, understood, and valued, and actually ninja and give them that first? And so that's, and ideally when we self-source enough, or when we get really good at it, we can do it pretty quickly. So like I can self-talk and be like, whoa, I'm really freaked out. I'm irritated. I can't believe he said that. He's really going off. I'm really feeling scared right now. I'm feeling irritated. I don't know what to do. I need to breathe. Oh God, my feet. Oh, wow. I'm feeling my belly. Wow. I really want to be in connection right now. This person, I really want to, what are they really longing for? Like, so all of that's going inside me, like and those are all the tools that are basically that I'm going to teach you. And we're going to go into a practice of how to do that. Can I do that so that I can effectively source myself, so that I can, again, make the other's needs the top priority? Can I source myself enough to be able to ninja into their world? Because the more that I ninja into their world, helping them to feel understood, heard, valued, making their needs matter, I'm actually going to get more of my needs met. Does that make sense to everyone? Cool. All right, I'm going to go back to the screen share. Okay, so please, before, like, I know I'm telling myself you're going to get overwhelmed looking at all of this, but I wanted to write all of it out for you. These are all of the ninja superhero superpower tools of self-sourcing. Okay, like these are the top ones that of how to actually learn how to self-source. Self-awareness, self-inquiry, self-reflection, right? What's going on with me? Wow. How am I feeling? Getting curious about my inner world, my experience, my needs. Self-empathy and compassion, acknowledging my feelings and needs, acknowledging the sensations in my body, acknowledging what's going on with me, acknowledging my need for respect, my value to matter, my value for freedom and independence. Self-responsibility, owning and acknowledging all aspects of self. Wow, I'm really freaking defensive right now. I feel like I want to rip this guy's head off. I can't believe he said that. I'm so freaking angry. How could they disrespect me so much, right? Whatever the story is, owning, wow, that is a very angry part of me. That part of me I need to take care of. I need to really love and honor that part of me. Self-acceptance, accepting the unacceptable, again, accepting this person said something to me that for example, that I found highly offensive. Can I accept that? I can't control what they said. Can I accept that they said that? Can I accept that right now they told me, that I was lazy? Can I accept a part of me that feels bad because I believe that I am lazy? Can I accept that part of me? Can I accept the part of me that doesn't accept that I'm lazy? How can I accept the unacceptable, right? The parts of me that I don't accept in myself, that I don't accept in my external circumstances. That is a practice. How can I bring aspects of self-love? How can I learn to loving the unlovable? Loving the parts that I still make wrong in others, that I make bad, stupid, wrong. How can I love the parts of me that I still make bad, stupid, wrong in myself? How can I love those parts of me back into wholeness and integration, right? Self-appreciation. When I'm really triggered with Scott and like I am trying to ninja in his world as best as possible and he's not getting off of it enough, what I do is I start celebrating myself out loud. Like, wow, I'm showing up. I'm so proud of myself. I'm in it. I'm so happy I'm still with you here. I'm just needing to celebrate myself for a minute so I can stay in this. I actually do that out loud, and you can do that inside yourself. Wow, I'm really like doing such a good job right now. Or wow, I'm doing such an amazing job to breathe right now and stay in this, even though it's so uncomfortable. How can you appreciate yourself? How can you appreciate the parts you don't even like in yourself? Right? Like, how can I find value in the part of me that feels ashamed? Wow, that part of me actually keeps me humble. Wow, that part of me is vulnerable. That part of me allows me to love myself more, right? How can I find the value in the parts of me that I judge? Self-reassurance, this is huge. Telling yourself what you long to hear in that moment. I'm okay. I'm going to get through this. I'm loved. I care about this person. I care about myself. Whatever the reassurance you need to hear is like to give yourself that. Self-affirmation, loving self-talk. A practice I use a lot is becoming one with this part of you. And I'll kind of take you into a whole practice of experiencing that. How do I merge into that part of me? How do I get lost into it? How do I even integrate it into oneness? That's a practice that I've been really working with, and it's been amazing. Self-regulation. How do I get myself back to a place of calm and center? How do I kick off my parasympathetic system? How do I balance my adrenals? How do I breathe and calm my nervous system? This is huge. And we'll be learning some techniques tonight, and I'll take you through a practice. Welcoming all sensations, emotions, and experiences. So often we hit an uncomfortable feeling, and the first thing is, oh, I can't feel that. Oh, no. Oh, that's too much. Oh my God, no, like that's no. And we just lean out. But how we actually move through the experience is we lean in, we welcome it, we move through it. We move through the sensation, we feel the feelings, we allow the experiences. And to the degree that we can allow and move through that without the story of the mind, that's important. Not creating evaluations and stories out of the experience, but allowing ourselves to move through the sensations and the experience. Connecting to earth, again, practices to, again, stay centered, like even when I had us breathe and connect to the earth at the beginning of the class. Practices to connect us to our higher self, source, knowing that we are held by the Creator, the belief that we are taken care of, we are provided for, we live in a friendly universe. That's huge. Also, taking good care of our heart. I call the heart the inner child, loving our innocence, loving the parts of us that need love. Releasing energy through sound and movement. This is a huge self-sourcing ninja tool. How do I, again, breathe and release this energy from my body? How do I emote? If you look at kids, they are so effectively self-sourced. They get angry and they express their anger, and then it releases, and then they're like cookie, you know. They're like they're so present, and they're constantly emoting, they're being with their experience. And what shuts us down from that is that we become conditioned, right? We start to become what is deemed as acceptable by other people, or what is okay, or what is together, or whatever it is. And so often we were shamed, and then we started to shut ourselves down, shut down our authentic expression. So in this work, we're learning to re-embody our authenticity. We're learning to re-embody the truth of who we are in all aspects of being. Visualization, meditation, cultivating character strengths and virtues within. We talk a lot about that in our work. How do we actually build character? How do we build these qualities of being, of compassion, patience, devotion, fortitude, strength, empowerment? How can I bring those virtues to this situation or this challenge, right? Like, what am I asked to bring inside of myself to this challenge? And then through all of that, usually what happens is we're able to then get curious. We're able to then access our frontal lobe, which is this place of, I can step into this other person's world and actually imagine their thoughts, feelings, and needs. And I can make their feelings and needs matter. And I can do that with letting go of the need or the expectation to change or fix them. That's so huge. Can I be willing to enter their world and really help them to get their needs met, or even validate their needs, and let go of any need to try to change them to be different than who they are, or try to, or have an expectation that they're going to meet my needs? That's huge. So I'd like for us to look at this list, and for us to come back into the room and say, wow, where can I celebrate that I'm pretty good at self-sourcing? Like, where is an area that I feel practiced in? Where do I feel like it's really like, I feel like that's something I feel like I've been practicing. And where do I feel like is a newer area that I could engage or practice even more? So I'm going to come back into the room. I'll just give you like a minute or so to kind of think about that. Again, a celebration on where, a tool that you use that you feel that you're pretty good at practicing, and an area that you feel like you could bring more practice or awareness into. Okay, I'm coming back. I'd like to open it up for anybody that'd like to share. Leah, I'm going to unmute you.
Hi.
Hi.
I am pretty good at the sound and movement part. I'm like you, Emily, like I will find a place, a bathroom or somewhere where I can go and do, huh, and just like, release some anger.
Yeah.
And it works really well, especially with anger. Because before that, I really disowned my anger, and I was surrounded by a lot of very angry people who acted out my disowned anger regularly. And so I started taking it back, really feeling it in my gut, and then going for it and actually enjoying that release process. And I've done lots of holotropic breath work and that, where you really get to go for it at like concert level volume release. But I'm not, this whole thing about coming into the other person's world, like being able to let go enough of your own needs and trigger to then get curious. And that's really new to me and amazing. And I don't know that I've ever really been fully able to practice it, maybe in relationships where I really, cared so much about the other person's needs, but I don't know if I've done it without self-sacrifice. That's the point.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for that. That's really a beautiful one. So I'm hearing it's like you've learned to express energy and to emote energy. And I really want to like validate what you said is that you had disowned your anger. And then the people in your world were showing up angry to help you re-embody your anger. So it's like, wow, that's really huge. And so thank you for re-embodying your anger and learning to manage it in healthy ways. And so now what I'm hearing is like, wow, you're in this exploration of really doing the ninja mood of how can I learn to take good care of my needs? How can I not sacrifice my needs, honor my needs, and bring them to the table, or take good care of my needs while equally being able to get curious and to step into the other person's world?
Right.
So yeah, it's huge, and it's definitely a practice. So thank you for being on this path and, venturing into this work. Exciting. I'm excited for you.
Me too.
Anyone else want to share? Caraway, I'm going to unmute you.
Oh,
Welcome.
okay.
Welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you. Let's see. I realized that I'm actually really pretty good at stepping into other people's world and imagining where they're coming from, having empathy for them, even when what they're doing is hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of times, I think that's one of the ways that I actually soothe myself is by bringing it down to the level of like, where's this person coming from? Because it's less scary for me if I can see them as human and I can see that they're just like me, that kind of thing. But I think that one of my big challenges is it's a lot easier for me to make that move than to like do the work of feeling all of my trigger and feeling all of what I'm feeling. It's a lot easier for me to step in there. And one of the things that really excited me about this list was the idea of cultivating virtues, because I realized that in some ways, like my own negativity in the situation is something that I don't tend to feel because I go straight to trying to like, have empathy and help the other person come in and deal with their needs. And then it's like I pass over my own anger or negativity that I have or judgment I may have about them. Like I just kind of like sweep all that aside and I'm like, well, if I can just like go into their world, we can fix this. But I sort of like, I think I skip a bunch of steps in there. And now I'm like, oh, wow, like there are actually things that I need to cultivate in myself through feeling my own feelings. And then I can be like, wow, I have judgment, I have anger, and what are the virtues I can cultivate that help me deal with those things in myself?
That's so awesome. I'm so celebrating you and how that wow. It's like, wow. So your value to really get people and to really help them to feel heard and understood is so soothing for you. It's like, because if you can understand them and you can see their humanness and you can step into their world, that so meets your values for understanding, for safety, for connection. And yet there's this other part of you that's like, whoa, I just did that move, but what about my feelings? There you went. Sorry, the box is reoriented. And I was like, where'd you go? What about my feelings? What about what's going on with me? And how do I learn to get more clear about, going into that experience and getting curious about it and making that matter? And what kind of character strengths can I develop to bring to some of those areas that I might be skipping over in myself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, that's huge. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much
Yeah.
for the list. It was really good to meditate on.
Yeah,
sure.
it's rich for sure. Anybody else? I'm just loving hearing people. And Karen, hi, welcome.
We have to get off now.
Oh, you're leaving? Take care of the kids?
Yeah, dinner with the kids.
Oh, dinner with the kids. Thanks for showing up tonight. Appreciate you jumping on.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Anybody else want to share? All right, David, since you haven't shared yet, I'm going to put you on the mic. You're on.
I'm on the hot seat. Hi, everybody. Emily, this is amazing. Every time I get on this conversation, this topic, I realize more and more how much I don't know. And, right when I think, oh, yeah, I've got it. And man, something will come up. And it's like I'm the left side of the menu, right? I start shutting down. I start doing the avoidant thing. I start doing the blame thing. And it's so hard to find my part in it. And it's something that I battle with on a regular basis, because as much as I want the harmony and everybody to get along, that kind of thing, the victim part comes out because I really struggle with seeing my side of it mostly. And sucks. It really sucks. Although in the moment, I'm so validated in my head. But yet, it's like 3 seconds in, it's red light, and then it's not even yellow. Yellow is as soon as, we need to have a conversation about this. I mean, I'm already in yellow light. It's like, wait, we haven't even said anything yet. Now, you know what? I can feel it. I should probably just take a break right now. Mm. And so I strive to get better at that, because for me, with Laura is the most difficult part of all of this work. I'm really good with other people, because I'm so not locked in, and I'm not invested, and I'm not, committed to that relationship. Although I value my friendships very dearly, I can, I have such a higher threshold of, or such a lack of threshold when it comes to Laura, because she means that much to me. So whatever she says comes with such sharper points than what anybody else can say, and she's not even maybe saying, it's like, didn't you take the trash out yet? Oh my gosh, I was thinking about it, that kind of thing. It's like, come on, man, just give yourself a hug. So yeah, I really, really, it's been 1.5 years. I've been in this class, and some things I can see where I've really blossomed, but the self-sourcing thing is such a challenge for me, because every part of my past life comes right to the surface. And it's like, here's a bag of clues, pick one.
But celebrate that you were at least not talking as much during the trigger. That's a good
yes, I'm getting guidance. And so I'm because that's how we operate.
Celebrate.
So there are celebrations where I am making movement. I mean, I'm making headway in the fact where I'm not, you say fight, flight, and freeze, where, I do all three of those, and that's just at the beginning of the conversation. And then it gets into cry and run into traffic. So at least I'm staying in the room, and I'm committed to getting through this. It's like words, and, so I'm making headway, but it's still such a deep source of words, that kind of thing. So I know I'm making progress, but it's still really, really difficult for me.
Yeah. I so want to appreciate you, David. I mean, over the last 1.5 years, you pretty much show up to every practice group. You've taken our courses. You're in our relationship mastery course. You keep bringing yourself to the table. I mean, I've seen you go to your most vulnerable parts. I've seen places that you've shared with your heart, your tears, your deepest vulnerabilities. And you're doing the work. Like, you're so showing up and doing the work. And like Laura said, it's like, it's such a practice, and it's like falling on our face over and over again, but being willing to get up and recommit and bring our best self forward and keep showing up. And so I'm celebrating that you're not leaving now, you're actually in the room. I'm also celebrating that you're not doing your go-to, which is anger and aggression, right? And, you more quickly notice, like, when you're going into blame or shame or stuff like that, and bringing it back. And you've been expressing your emotions. You're more quickly saying, I'm scared, right? Like, that's so huge as a man, to be able to like disarm and just say that I'm scared right now. And to be able to say that to, in your partnership. And the last thing I really want to say is that this stuff is the hardest with your closest relationships. Like, this is the hardest with your deep relationships, with your loverships, the relationships with your family, because again, there's those bonds, there's an investment, there's the courting, there's the enmeshment, there's, the past wounding, all of this stuff that creates a level of challenge, rather than it just being someone that we might meet at work, that we have a less of an investment in. So of course, there's more weight and there's more care underneath that, right? This matters. I want to make this relationship work. I love this person. And so when I do things that trigger them, it's like, so like, oh my God, can feel like your world can feel like crumbling down, All right, I'm going to go back to the screen share because I wanted to go back because I think I didn't touch on something that I wanted to touch on this slide, because I went a little quickly into some of the self-sourcing tools. So I want to go back to when if someone does need to take space to get sourced, the litmus test is basically, can I care about this other person's feelings and needs right now? Can I honor my feelings and needs in the moment enough to care about their feelings and needs and step into their world first so that they can feel heard, understood, and valued? And if I literally can't, and I can't close my eyes and get myself sourced enough in the moment, or take a few breaths or do that, or then again, it's important for me to take space and get sourced. But we call that create a connected timeout. So you want to talk about the person that ideally you want to create an agreement of creating this protocol, but we have a practice and it's called connected timeouts. And I'm not going to go over how to do that in this call, but that's a practice of people that work with us that, couples agree to it. And it's basically, how do we stop the escalation so that we're not going into fighting, blame, shame, make wrong, all those things when we're triggered, and how do we actually create a connected timeout? So yellow light, red light. Red light would be, I need to actually take space and get sourced. So during that time, both people ideally take space and they fill out what we call a challenging situation worksheet. And that's another protocol from the Love Coach Academy. And I'm not going into that tonight because we're focusing on self-sourcing, but that is a self-sourcing tool, is to, when I'm in a red light, we both go fill out the challenging situation worksheet, which is, again, self-reflecting. What are my thoughts? What are my feelings? What are my needs? What are the other person's thoughts that I'm imagining? What do I imagine the other person's feelings are? What am I imagining the other person's needs are? When you can authentically do that, you're out of your reptile brain. You're actually in your frontal lobe or your forebrain, and that's where the empathy center is and the observer part of the brain is. That's where we're able to actually be in that place of the larger picture of reality. So I'm going to come back and just touch on any questions or clarifications that you might have about this. But again, this is kind of a series of other tools and possibly other webinars. So I'm just going to come back in. Does anybody have any questions or anything about that piece? Okay. Yes, no, maybe so. Lusana.
Yes. So, as a beginner in this process, would it be just following the list of however many items were on applying the tools?
I'm actually going to take us through a practice to do that right now. So we're going to go in, and so that's the next practice, is I'm going to engage a lot of those tools. And I have a 1-page self-care when triggered protocol that is actually available. And if you guys don't have it yet, we have a Love Coach Academy app, a free app, right? And so you can download it on your iPhone or your Android. And it's literally just do a search for Love Coach Academy, download the free app, and there is a button that says LCA Essentials and LCA Docs in the menu. And you can get all of these things that I'm talking about. So you can get the challenging situation worksheet, you can get the connected timeouts, and you can get specifically the one-page doc. It's called Self-Care When Triggered. And so that's a doc that you probably want to download, and I'll bring that up here. So actually, let me bring it up right now so you can see it. Let's see. Oh, wait. Okay, so let me make it a little bit bigger. Can everyone see that? So this is basically kind of like a quick protocol. And you can see a little bit of that. And then there's some great questions to like additional journaling. What is this teaching about myself? What painful stories can I rewrite and shift into more empowering, life-affirming ones? All sorts of questions that like deepen your self-sourcing, self-inquiry work. I love this quote. If you approach another person with attacking, judgmental, or fearful energy and words, you will not get your needs met. So again, that's why self-sourcing is so important. So this is in the Love Coach Academy app that you can actually download, along with connected timeouts, challenging situation worksheet, and a boatload of other docs. So I recommend you guys, after this class, download our Love Coach Academy app. And it's not live yet, so I haven't announced it to our larger list. I think only about 30 people know, because it's not perfect yet. So I don't want to release it yet, but I want to release it with you guys. Lusana?
Yeah, so are those also available on your website? Because my phone, it's very hard for me to read those documents on my phone. So
I'll post that actually in the self-mastery
awesome
tab, because since you're taking the course. For people that aren't in our course, I recommend that would be a way you guys can get it, is this Love Coach Academy app.
Right.
All right, any other questions before we going into a protocol? Laura?
I just have one thing that we learned today from Fajun. We had a session with Fajun, and he suggested, I thought something that might be important for us to share here, that when you're going to have something that may be triggering, you could pose it in a way that could be self-sourcing, and also to the other person, to your beloved or whoever you have a request, or it's going to be a touchy subject, is to say, I have a longing, and and to kind of pose things that way to sort of help yourself source, and also the other person, so that they kind of stay away from the defense. So I just thought that might be helpful, because he suggested that to us.
Mm-hmm. So posing things for actually saying, I have a longing.
Yeah.
For, I have a longing for us to come into mutual connection or harmony or understanding. Right. I have a longing to be in this dance of this interplay of conflict with you for the outcome to actually grow closer.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I
yes.
have a longing to stay out of jail. I have a...
Yeah. It's so funny. I said that word to my friend recently, and she goes, like, I that word is too intimate for me. Like, I just use that word like in my intimate longing. She got so triggered by the word. And so it's so interesting. And so it so depends on who you're talking to. Like, I would use that word with a beloved. I use that word in general. Scott uses the word, like, I have a fantasy for you, and that triggers me. Like, you have a fantasy for me? Like, what, do you want to take off my panties? Like, what? He says that to people he doesn't even know. So it's like, so how about I have a vision for you, or I envision for you? He says that word, and it's like, whoa.
Right.
So the word values, I too, like, is like, wow, I have this value for harmony, and I really want to make that matter in our relationship. And can we slow down a little bit? This asking permission piece, like, can we share these values together?
Mm-hmm.
So I love that. So again, being aware of like who you're talking to and, you know, adjusting your languaging depending on who you're with.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like Lee said, it's like be discerning about who you're connecting with, you know, but also don't be careful not to allow yourself to shut yourself down. Like, and so I've really noticed, guys, like the more authentic I am, I blow people out of the water, just like random people by just dropping in and doing things like, well, people are like, whoa, like, and so I don't know, there's like such a fine balance of discernment and also just like owning who you are, like really owning who you are and authentically showing up in that. So I'm going to take us through a practice. And since the class started a little bit late, we started about 15 minutes late, I'm going to go about 15 minutes over. So we're going to go until about 8:15. So if you do need to leave by 8, I would recommend you actually leave now because the practice I'm about to take you into is going to be like a 10-minute internal practice. And I would hate for you to start the process and then be halfway in through a trigger and then leave. So I just wanted to give you a heads up. The call will be recorded and I'm going to repost the replay on my wall. So if you do need to leave by 8, I would say to sayonara now, but let's try to stay on for at least 8:15 or 8:20 if you can. Okay. Thank you, Laura. Thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thanks for whoever has to go. Thank you so much for showing up on the call. I really appreciate it. A few things before we go into the process. It's really important that you really welcome anything that comes up. So it's so important because we're going to be moving into the discomfort. And so I really want to make it safe. I want to give you permission to, again, be able to, you're in your own place. If you want to turn your video off, to make body movements, to make sound, to be able to release energy in your body, I welcome you to be able to take care of yourself in whatever ways you need. But the important thing is that you don't restrict yourself. You don't hold back. That's actually what's causing most of the suffering in ourselves and relationship is we're actually avoiding our feelings. We're afraid to feel something. We're afraid to experience something. We're afraid of the images that come up when we go into our triggers. And so we resist, we create walls, we create separation to feel safe, you know? And so, but then we create this sense of unsafety and instability and all the things that we don't want because we're in resistance. So I want to create safety and permission for you to do what you need to do, go into the experience, feel your feelings fully. Don't shut yourself off. Don't monitor yourself. So that's like the number one thing that I really want to anchor in before we go into the experience. Okay, so I'm going to give people a minute to think about a really big trigger that you've had with somebody. Ideally, somebody that you care about and that you ideally would like to work with and have a level of repair with, or a level of care with, really wanting to know what was going on and what's going on in their world. So I want you to take the next minute or so and think about a big trigger that happened with someone that you really want to work on. And again, picking a trigger that you've had recently with someone that you care about, that you really want to investigate and find out more, and like repair and connection really matters to you. All right, can I get a raise of hands if people feel like they've picked that, just so I can kind of get a poll of where people are? Okay, looks like, so I'm going to give people a little bit more time to think about. Okay, So I invite you, if you'd like some more privacy, to turn off your video. If that doesn't matter to you, I'm going to actually have you go into an inward space. So I'm going to go ahead and just turn my video off, just so that I can actually go into an internal space, because I'm going to just be kind of going in and guiding. So I'm going to turn off my video because it just helps me drop in. So invite you to sit back in your chair and allow yourself to feel your breath. Coming into your breath, feeling the gentle, deep, expansive inhale in your body. And exhale, coming into present time. If sound feels good for you, I invite you to just feel the sigh of your breath on the exhale. And I'd like to have you feel your feet on the earth. Allow yourself to come into connection with beloved Mother Earth. I love to imagine the miracle of gravity. Mother Earth is always holding us. We don't float off into space. We are always held. There's always a sense of being nourished by this beautiful green-blue planet, through the water we drink, through the air we breathe. We are so deeply safe and held by this beautiful Mother Earth. So just take a moment and really affirm your connection to the earth. Feel her presence. Feel her holding you. Allow your body to drop down and feel held. Whew. You are safe. Perhaps bringing in the words, I'm safe right here, right now. I'm safe. And I invite you to now bring about that trigger, bring about that memory that you had, that challenge you had with that person that you're working with tonight. And I invite you to fully allow that memory to come full into your present mind's eye, fully into your consciousness. What are the stories that come up for you when you think about this trigger, this challenge that happened? Allow yourself to notice what's going on in your mind. Don't filter your mind right now. What are the judgments? What are the thoughts? Again, don't filter it. Allow yourself to fully be with your thoughts, fully be with the judgments, fully be with what you think about this situation. Can you accept these thoughts? Again, none of them are bad or wrong. They're thoughts, they're judgments, they're projections. Can you accept these thoughts? Breathing. Feeling what it feels like to be in your mind. What does it feel like to be in my mind? Now noticing the images. What's the image that comes up? What's the image that you notice as you think about this situation? What's the memory? What does it look like? What are the images, the colors, the memories that are fully coming through your experience? Dive into it, allow it, welcome it. Can you accept it? Can you accept all of these images? Can you accept the memories, the colors, anything you're seeing? And we're going to take a couple deep breaths and we're going to release on some sound. So let's go ahead and inhale and release on sound. Dropping your energy down into your body, inhaling again. Diving into the emotional waters of your feelings. What am I feeling? Welcoming all and any emotions. Fully feel your feelings. Welcome them. Am I frustrated? Angry? Can I find sadness? Can I find and know that I have fear right now? Can I make that okay? Can I find confusion? Am I feeling confused? Am I feeling ashamed, embarrassed? Can I be okay with my feelings? Can I accept them? Fully accept your feelings. Breathing, noticing. What are the body sensations that I can observe and name as I think about this trigger, this situation? Am I feeling a pit in my stomach? Am I feeling clenching in my throat? Am I feeling this desire to completely just like get the hell out? What am I feeling? What's the body sensation? Can I allow it? Welcome it? Breathe into it. Can I accept that this is what I'm experiencing? These are the sensations that are here. There's no right or wrong. There's no bad sensation. There's no bad emotion. There's uncomfortable and there's comfortable. And now welcoming some hands on your body, maybe putting a hand on your heart and your belly, seeing if that feels good, and just taking some deep breaths in to your body, soothing your adrenals, seeing if you can bring your system down, feeling this connection to yourself, soothing and bringing in any healing energy, any love in this moment that you're needing. Breathing. What am I needing? What am I needing, like, from this situation? What needs are important to me? What values, what longings? I have such a desire to be heard and understood right now. I have a longing for intimacy and validation and care. I have a longing for appreciation, for safety and trust. I want to know that I can rely on myself, or that I can feel safe in this connection. I have a longing to know that I matter, that I belong, that I'm valued. Whatever it is, your needs matter. Your needs are important. Every single need matters. And right now, what is the most loving thing that I can give myself in this moment? just right here, right now, what's the most loving thing I can welcome into my body right now? Breathing, welcoming it in. What's the reassurance that I'm longing to hear from the other person? What's the reassurance that I'm so longing to hear from this other person? Can I give that reassurance to myself right now, to this vulnerable part of me that I am communing with, that I'm being with? Can I tell that to myself? It might be that I'm lovable, or, wow, I'm sorry that I hurt you. I'm sorry for your pain. I really want to hear you. Your needs and feelings matter. You're loved. What is it that you're so longing to hear? And give that to yourself. Is there any self-appreciation that I want to give myself right now? Like for the ways that I'm showing up, for this part of me, can I find value in this part of me? Ooh. Breathing. What do I feel inspired to bring to this challenge or to this situation with this other person? What do I feel inspired to bring to this challenge with this other person? And can I also give that to myself? Can I give what I feel inspired to bring to myself as well? Can I bring this sense of desire for connection or moving through challenge? Can I give myself that reassurance? Whatever it is I'm inspired to really bring, how can I again bring that to myself? And can I allow myself to simply merge into the experience of whatever I'm experiencing right now? Like, what would it feel like to completely merge into any sensation or feeling or experience that I'm having right now? What would it be like to just completely merge and dissolve into it? Seeing if I could become one with it, just allowing it to come back into integration, into oneness. Sometimes people like to think, can I surrender into it? Can I completely let go into the experience? You could call this going into source connection, higher self, light. whatever that experience is to you. And from this place of connection with yourself, fullness in yourself, I invite you to imagine, wow, what was going on for the other person in this scenario? What were some of the imaginings, I think, of their thoughts or their perceptions or ideas? How can I get curious in this moment of imagining what their feelings might have been in this scenario? Their body sensations, their experience. And what are the needs and the values that they were longing for in the moment? Maybe they were needing empathy and compassion or understanding, just like you were. Maybe they were needing some form of safety or appreciation or being understood. So just imagining what their values might have been that they were longing for in the situation. Taking a deep breath. Inviting you to come back into your experience and just appreciate yourself right now for taking the time to be in this experience, to fully allow yourself to go into this level of self-care, self-sourcing work. Just celebrate yourself. Wow. I'm giving my Monday evening over to this course when I could be watching Netflix right now. Whatever it is, it's like, wow, thank you. Thank yourself. And feeling your connection to the earth. Reaffirm your connection to the present time moment. Seeing if you can fully come back into a place of present time self-connection in your body right here, right now. Letting anything go. Coming back to your breath. Maybe gently allowing your body to come back into some form of movement, wiggling some hands or gently reawakening your body in any way that feels good. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the Universal Human Needs list to give you guys a chance to just check it out. Like if you want to look deeper into some of these needs or values that might have been at the heart of your trigger or your imagining of the other person's experience, this is a good time just to kind of take a look at this. And of course, the black are main categories, the ones in bold, and then the words under the main categories are like subcategories. Sorry, I just want to try to get everything in here. So again, everything that either we do or another person does is an attempt to meet one or more of these needs. So this helps us to not necessarily condone strategies that have hurtful consequences or behaviors, but it helps us to have an understanding of what's really going on at the heart of the matter underneath every experience. So for me, this is like the Bible of knowing myself, and actually the Bible of how I can imagine what's going on for other people. So just taking a moment and kind of seeing again if we've, from the trigger we worked with, gaining any more insight or clarity. And thank you guys so much for staying a little bit longer tonight. I really appreciate it. I realize it's 8:20. So I'm going to stop the screen share now. And I'd love to just open it up for any awarenesses, ahas, things you experienced that you'd like to share. Yay, Leah.
So my trigger was somebody who I feel I'm the enabler for, and they're dependent
Mm-hmm.
on me, and I couldn't get past my frustration with feeling like all the values that they express, you know, how much they care about me and everything is all about them getting me to do stuff for them that I don't necessarily want to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's always like very essential needs, you know, driving them, shopping for them, lifting shit for them. Like, it's because they're somewhat debilitated. And so I could not actually quite get into their skin in the right way, I guess.
Yeah.
I tried.
I appreciate that. And so I really hear, again, some of your values that you stand by, you know, and probably I'm guessing there's like a desire for boundaries, and you don't want to get pulled in and you don't want to lose yourself. And so I'm imagining it might be challenging because as you step into her world, you might feel like you might lose yourself or lose your boundaries. So how can you trust your boundaries and your needs while equally being able to validate her needs without the need to lose yourself or step outside your integrity?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just the ninja move, is like, don't give up on yourself, stay true to your needs, but still like understand that by validating her world, it doesn't mean you have to give in.
Yeah, I think my value is to know that everything kind of nice that she does isn't just a manipulation to get me to do something that she needs done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I think that's a core value and need for me, you know, and I do not know how to elicit that with her.
Mm-hmm. So I think that would be good to get some coaching on. Like, I'd love to work with you further on that to kind of help you be able to find out what your needs are and to be able to come into a space of vulnerability and heart connection of how you could maybe best communicate to her so you can come into a place of getting your needs met. So I would love to, if you feel compelled to kind of go deeper, but yeah, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else want to share like any kind of value that they got or insight or aha or Lusana?
Thank you. For me, it was super, super clear that my pain levels skyrocket as soon as I start focusing on the emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And to just be with that, it's like that first step is extremely difficult for me. So what happened was I had to start distancing. I had to step back and say, okay, not as tough a situation. Like, okay, let's tone it down. And then it was just focus on self-compassion right now. Just focus on that. And at some point there was some alleviation of some of the pain. I mean, it's clearly I see very clearly that connection. And this is not new to me to see the connection of what I'm feeling emotionally and how it affects my body, but it does show me more clearly that, yeah, when I'm feeling really heavy duty stuff, it's like my body screams. And so I'm wanting to learn some for myself, and maybe this is not the avenue, but some tips for just that basic first step, so I can stay in my body and stay with the pain, the physical as well as the emotional, both of them. So.
Yeah, I'm really hearing that there's a part of you that just feels like you get engulfed by your emotions and it becomes pretty unbearable. And then it's hard to be able to go kind of into the experience because it's so, I'm guessing, overwhelming. No? Okay, I'm going to bring you back up.
Thank you. It's that's a piece of it. That's not what I was intending to share. It's that I have already so much physical pain I'm dealing with. When I focus on the emotions, the physical pain skyrockets.
Right.
Even worse. It's like that becomes that it takes over. I'm already dealing with that. So yes, there's a piece of that, of the overwhelming emotional experience, but yeah, it's how do I to handle the physical when I just want out of my body in that case, not just, yeah.
So I hear, oh, let me mute you. I hear, again, you're going through tremendous physical challenge. So then when you bring the emotional experience, just escalates everything. So then there's a part of you trying to figure out how to take care of yourself. And you're in that inquiry and you're in that dance, like, whoa, do I need to step back from not picking a big trigger? And, I can only imagine, what you going in and learning what works for you within, your specific sets of needs and where you are, and just celebrate you where you are in that dance of that special dance of what you need. Because I don't know the answers of specifically within your needs, but I so appreciate that you're in that inquiry. Yeah. Anybody else want to share right before we wrap up? Or any area where you're like, whoa, this seems like a piece that's going to support me, like this piece on self-reassurance. I know it's really huge when I think about when I'm in a trigger with someone and I think about the reassurance that I'm longing to hear from them and I give that to myself. It helps me really be able to source myself well. And so that's really a really powerful ninja move that I really just wanted to reiterate. How can what am I longing to hear from that other person and how can I give that to myself? It's huge. Doug, I'm putting you on the mic. Hang on. You're on.
Hey, thanks, Emily. I just wanted to say that this is a really amazing piece for you to do tonight, because since we got into the middle of this course, it's become like a daily practice to ask this question. It's really, but I've never done a long piece on it. But I'm starting to feel like it touches the heart of the matter, because if I can, as I find that place where I try to hang with that question as long as I can. How can I give to myself the thing that this person is failing to give to me?
There it is.
How can I give to myself the thing that this person can't give to me? How can I give to myself the thing that this person
might not
I never asked them for it, or they never had it themselves? And as I'm realizing, what happens is that this is the medicine that heals the whole situation for them and me. Because if I'm going to find this for me, I'm going to find it for them.
Yes.
We're both missing it.
Yes.
And so it's a beautiful thing to try and sit with over and over and over again. And I just wanted to validate what Laura said before she left, which is, this is a practice, this is a practice, and that you started with, this is a practice, this is a practice. And I wanted to say to any part of anyone who feels like, wow, this seems like really beautiful and really difficult, that every single moment of attempt is absolutely valid and adds up. And sometimes I meet people and I hear where they're at, and I recognize that doing long-term daily practice in a disciplined, focused way on a worksheet like this absolutely has paid off.
Yeah.
It really, you can't feel it every day, you can't feel it every hour, but if you break out one of these worksheets or these things that Emily is sharing and you like sit on that thing for an entire year every day, you will not have the same internal reality afterwards. It's so worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I really want to celebrate that, like, I'm really good at this shit. Like, I can do this in like 2 minutes, like where I can get off my triggers really quick, but it's also because it's like the most important thing to me. Like, I so want to be happy. I so want to be fulfilled in life, and I want to have the most incredible, amazing connection that I could ever possibly have. Like, I want my needs to be met. And so there's nothing more fucking important to me than these tools. Like, I can't think of anything more important than having nourishing relationships. And that starts with me loving myself.
Right. And what could be more rewarding?
Yeah. And I really want to validate what you said, Doug, is like, how can we expect other people to give to us that which they don't even know they have inside themselves? Right? Like,
Right.
It's a fantasy. Like, most of us are abandoned with our own needs. So how can we expect other people to take care of our needs when they're so abandoned from their needs?
Right.
It's like,
Yeah, I really need you to like soar out of your broken childhood like an eagle so you can make up for what I'm heard about from 50 years ago.
exactly.
That's my plan.
And that's the thing about our work too, is most people come in and they recognize their triggers are just connected to deeper parts of their past, of longings they didn't get as the child. And so we are doing like a bunch of Heart Ninja inner child work here when we're doing the self-sourcing stuff. But regardless of what happened in the past, how can we show up with whatever the needs are in present time? Right?
Right.
You don't have to understand the storyline of it. Sometimes that helps. Sometimes that's nice. That's a nice, useful tool. But like, really, if we know the needs and we know the heart of the matter of what we're really longing for, and we learn ways to be able to give it to ourselves, like you said, Doug, it's a win for everyone. It really is, you know? So thank you guys so much for showing up. I would love to, again, invite you guys into our membership site portal. If you aren't a part of our portal, we give weekly live group coaching calls. We have over 40 videos, 40 webinars, live weekly practice groups that we do. And you can go there and sign up at I'm putting it to everyone, lovecoachacademy.com, and go to join our online community. If you are interested in getting private coaching with me, I do have a couple spots left, but I'm only actually seeing people that are serious about working for a package of 6 and 13. I've got like 2 spaces available in my practice. I am offering a free 30-minute consultation to anyone that's really interested in my packages. And so if you are interested, hit me up on Facebook if you're not already a friend. And also on my Facebook wall, I'll go ahead and put, I feel a little embarrassed to say, but I don't have the link right now to my online scheduler to put it in the chat box. And so I'm feeling a little embarrassed that I'm not prepared. So I just want to own that. So if you are really wanting to consider a 30-minute consultation and working deeper, I want to be able to get that link to you. So reach out. You can find me at lovecoachacademy.com. You can find me on Facebook, and I'll also post the link to my scheduler if you're serious about a free 30-minute consultation. If you're interested in going deep into some package, a package with me, then please consider signing up for a free consultation. And then there's an intake form to sort of like find out what you're looking for. So thank you so much for showing up tonight. Thank you for being committed to the practice, and I hope to see many of your faces soon as we deepen into this work together. All right, everybody. Aloha. Have a good night.